I'm Dwayne Brown. Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, staying upbeat in the face of cancer, signs of grace and humor from former President Jimmy Carter, sharing details of his doctor's diagnosis.
Carlsbad City Council will decide if a controversial plan to build a shopping center near the Agua Hedionda Lagoon will go forward as is or head to the ballot for a public vote. Meanwhile, protesters oppose the development today. I'm Peggy Pico with an update then. San Diego researchers find the anti-smoking drug Chantix had no significant impact on helping adult smokers kick the habit. How the study could help others who want to quit.
As soon as you're accepted, it's not, are you going to go to college? It's where you're going to go to college.
Dreaming about higher education, the San Diego program that makes college a reality for the children from immigrant families. See how it's making the grade. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Hi, good evening. Thanks for joining us. Running dry in California, a new report paints a distressing picture for the next 2 years if the state's drought stretches into the future. Watershed experts from UC Davis and the Public Policy Institute say more needs to be done now ahead of what is expected to be the biggest drought crisis in 2016 and 2017.
These four areas, urban, agriculture, which are doing okay, are adapting okay, poor rural communities, which are basically living off of stopgap measures, and then the environment, which is in deep trouble. All of those will be affected if we stay dry for the next 2 to 3 years. The bottom line is, don't count on El Nino to bail us out. It's an unreliable partner. Hope is not a good strategy.
Among the events anticipated by the report, more trees dying off, more species of fish going extinct, and more wildfires. The Navy is celebrating a new power agreement that will save the service millions of dollars. The deal will provide a third of the power at 14 California Navy and Marine Corps facilities. KPBS reporter Eric Anderson has the story.
The deal is the largest single purchase of renewable energy by a federal entity. The Navy, working with the Western Area Power Administration, signed a 25-year deal with Sempra U.S. Gas and Power. Sempra will expand a solar farm west of Phoenix to generate 210 megawatts of electricity. Secretary of the Navy Ray Mabus says the service is on track to meet some very aggressive renewable energy goals.
The President, in his State of the Union 3 years ago, said that the Navy would buy a gigawatt of renewable energy by 2020. That's half of all our power needs ashore. We're going to beat that by 5 years. We're going to be there by the end of this year.
The Navy buys its onshore power through a division of the Energy Department. The new contract will lock in the price of electricity over 25 years. Kevin Segarra works with Sempra. He says that long-term contract could save the service up to $90 million.
The price of the solar power is very competitive with today's power prices, and out in the future the power prices are going to go up as fossil fuel prices go up and whatnot. And this creates that savings.
Sempra will start building the 650,000 panel project this month, and the company hopes to finish construction by the end of next year. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
He's ready for anything. Former President Jimmy Carter offering a brave message today on his latest cancer diagnosis. He says his cancer has showed up in 4 small spots on his brain. He started radiation treatment this afternoon. Carter told reporters about his first reaction to his doctor's diagnosis.
I was surprisingly at ease. You know, I've had a wonderful life. I've had thousands of friends, and I've had an exciting and adventurous and gratifying existence. So I was surprisingly at ease, much more so than my wife was.
President Barack Obama tweeted that President Carter is as good a man as they come, and the First Family was praying for him and his wife, Rosalind. A San Diego County race with 2 Republican rivals facing off. County Supervisor Diane Jacob has been in office for 23 years. She's being challenged by State Senator and fellow Republican Joel Anderson in next year's election. Anderson has the support now of the local Republican Party. iNews Source reporter Joe Girardi joins us with more on the race and the money. So, Joe, when did Jacob fall out of favor with the Republican Party?
It's tough to say exactly when GOP power players turned against Diane Jacob, but the big developers who hold a lot of sway in the party have long been upset with Jacob's aversion to high-impact development in rural East County. The breaking point between Jacob and the party came late last year when she joined 3 other supervisors in capping donations from political parties to county candidates. That was widely viewed as a means of protecting her should the GOP decide to support a challenger. It had the effect of pushing the party to endorse Anderson in February and to donate $200,000 to his campaign the day before those limits took effect in March.
So Anderson got a couple of $100,000 from the party in March. How's that working out for his campaign now?
Not too well. Other than that hefty check from the party, he only pulled in about $50,000 in the first 6 months of the year. Jacob raised more than $200,000 in the same period. She wound up with more than $500,000 in the bank at the end of June.
And why are Anderson's numbers so low?
Anderson's people didn't want to talk to me, but one plausible explanation is that the county's campaign finance limits are hurting him. As a state legislator, he's been free to raise big checks from political action committees, corporations, and Native American tribes. And historically, he's pulled in more than 80% of his money from those sources. The problem? The county bans contributions from all of those sources. Other than political parties, only actual human beings can donate, and only up to $750. And Anderson historically has raised less than 20% of his money from actual people.
Would you say Anderson's campaign is in trouble?
No, he's got one big play he can make. All those deep-pocketed donors that fueled his state legislative campaigns can band together and form an independent committee that can raise unlimited funds from any source and spend unlimited money on ads to boost his chances. There's only one rule. They can't coordinate with his campaign. If that happens, the playing field gets real even real quick.
iNews Source reporter Joe Girardi. Go to inewssource.org for a searchable database of campaign contributions. A new court challenge filed by San Diego news stations, including KPBS, requesting the release of security camera footage from a fatal police officer-involved shooting. That officer shot and killed a man outside an adult bookstore in the Midway district last April. An attorney for the news outlet says the public should be allowed to review the surveillance video. The dispute comes at a time of national debate over officer-involved shootings and excessive use of force by police. A drug smuggler arrested in scuba gear led to the discovery of an underwater tunnel from Mexico. The man pleaded guilty yesterday in San Diego federal court. Border Patrol agents found him next to the All-American Canal just east of Calexico last April. He was soaked in a wetsuit. Agents say he had 55 pounds of cocaine. No word yet on who built the tunnel or whether more arrests are expected. Heroin use is on the rise in San Diego. A new study says 15% of women and 13% of men arrested in the county last year tested positive for heroin, reaching the highest levels since 2000. The arrests mirror a national increase, prompting President Obama this week to order more resources to battle heroin trafficking. Well, no significant impact. That's the conclusion of a new UC San Diego study on a smoking cessation drug. Researchers looked at the rate in which smokers quit. Peggy Pico finds out why.
UC San Diego researchers surveyed more than 39,000 smokers who tried to quit in the last year and compared the nicotine replacement drug Chantix to other replacement therapies like the nicotine patch, gum, inhaler, and other prescription medications. And they found Chantix doesn't translate into more smokers breaking the habit. Joining me with the implications are my guest, epidemiologist Wael Al-Dalami, smoking researcher at UC San Diego School of Medicine, and Jody McEdward, a certified tobacco treatment specialist at Sharp Reese Steely. And Jody, how is Chantix different than other nicotine replacement treatments?
Well, unlike nicotine replacement therapies such as the patch or lozenges, the gum, or even the nasal spray, where they put a little bit of nicotine in the brain to relieve cravings and think clearly, what Chantix does is basically keep the nicotinic receptors from breaking down and needing more nicotine, or dopamine rather. So essentially they're satisfied and there's no craving.
So it works on the craving side. And Wael, now we know that UCSD researchers found that it had no significant impact, as they put it, on adults who tried to quit smoking. Is there any ideas why this type of process didn't work as well?
Well, I mean, it's well known that there is no one magic bullet that will help in treatment. It's a multiple of ways. And so this is proving to the evidence that we have found that 70% of people actually quit on their own without any treatment.
And Judy, speaking of quitting, we know a bunch of people, I'm sure all of us know someone who's tried to quit over and over again and hasn't been successful, and others quit cold turkey. They've been smoking for years and they quit cold turkey. What plays into whether a smoker is successful at quitting?
Well, it starts first with the desire to quit. Always. That's so important. You have to want to make the change. But it's also starting to pay attention to the very subtle but automatic behaviors where smoking or any tobacco use bleeds into our lives. So their plan has to not just be about medication. That's a bridge. It's to help get over cravings. You have to look at your social environment, and you have to look at the powerful memories and the emotional relationship that you have with this drug that's helping you deal with your life.
Now, Wael, you touched on this. So 70%, you said, this means that 70% of people may do better quitting on their own. How else can this research help others who are trying to quit?
Well, I mean, I think it kind of brings into light that there is no one single treatment that is going to resolve this major epidemic of smoking, and that this is not as the industry and pharmaceuticals that produces posed it that it would be, that it was going to solve or make the quitting. It does help, but it's not much different from the others.
Now, a USC study, actually, I'm sure you guys are aware of, suggested that kids who use e-cigarettes, young kids, are more likely to start using tobacco products than their non-vaping peers. Jody, but for adults, are e-cigarettes a good tool for quitting?
There's a lot of anecdotal evidence when you talk to people that they say it helped them quit. But what we know in working in our programs at Sharp Reese Steely is it doesn't help them stay quit. There's a repetitive hand-to-mouth motion that on an unconscious level is the solution to the problem, whether it's a vaporizer or whether it's actually a cigarette.
Yeah, and Wael, you actually studied this, so can you add to that?
Yeah, so our study that was published in American Journal of Public Health just recently found that smokers who ever use these e-cigarettes are significantly less likely to be quit on the long term after 1 year. So that was really a message that it is not maybe what it's supposed to do. A
long-term solution.
Yeah.
Well, California lawmakers are moving toward increasing cigarette tax again. Is cost a motivator for quitting, or are there other ways to do that?
Absolutely. I mean, there is a very close relation. This is worldwide, WHO and even California. With the increasing of the tax, there's decreasing of consumption and more quitting. And unfortunately, there hasn't been an increase in the tax in California for some time. So that's why we have a plateau of prevalence of smoking based on our data.
What other things can help? I'm thinking of outside sources, like does banning smoking in public areas?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. When you create an environment where you're not using that particular product, you set up a rule inside your head that this is where I don't do this. And the more that happens, the more you start to say, I don't do this. And use drops. And so it is taking on another tool that will help you have that same sense of well-being.
All right. Well, Jody McEdward and Wael El-Delamy, thank you so much.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you.
A college prep program for low-income, mostly Mexican immigrant families has seen a surge in demand. KPBS Fronteras reporter Jean Guerrero says it prepares kids for college even before they reach puberty.
Going to college is worth it and getting a career.
Sarabi Rodriguez was a third grader when she started planning for college at the Barrio Logan College Institute.
As soon as you're accepted, it's not, are you going to go to college? It's where you're going to go to college.
Her parents immigrated from Mexico and didn't grow up with that mentality.
My parents that didn't go to college, they have no idea how it works, like what's the Common App, what's the UC app, what are the different deadlines.
But then her parents found BLCI. The program offered free academic support and family counseling for navigating the U.S. education system. She graduated from the program and high school this summer. In the fall, Sarabi's going to UC Berkeley. Sarabi's mother, Adriana, rummages through her daughter's large pile of college admission letters at BLCI, where she spends much of her time.
The program asks you to do volunteer hours to keep you involved in what they're doing here. More than a program, it's a second family.
I think I also want to apply to Berkeley. You want to apply to Berkeley? Yeah.
Sarabi's 12-year-old sister, Emily, has also been at BLCI since 3rd grade. She's considering Berkeley, too.
I think I can, if I work hard in school and I follow my sister's path and I stay in school, I think I can make it up there.
Oh my God, times just fly.
Yeah.
Her father, Oswaldo, has had to work multiple jobs to put his daughters through school.
Llegamos aquí con el sueño americano y
we came here with the American dream. We opened a restaurant, but unfortunately it didn't go well for us. It was a very difficult time financially, and it really affected Sarabi.
Sarabi, why don't you open it?
BLCI director Jose Cruz says the family aspect of the program is what makes it so effective.
We capitalize on the Latino concept of family and use that as a bridge to the American education system.
Family-focused educational programs like this are becoming more common in the U.S. as the immigrant population rises. But BLCI works with students and their families through high school. This long-term relationship is rare among after-school programs.
Most of us, if not actually all of us who work directly with the kids, are of the first generation in our families to go to college. We're first generation to go to college. Our parents are immigrants from another country, and so we share that experience. We're strongly relationship-based.
Cruz says the challenge is juggling the need to find solutions to so many problems. Sometimes families just can't put food on the table. Sometimes they need mental health services. Connecting families to other resources sometimes takes away from the time mentors can spend with the students. BLCI is trying to cope by hiring more staff. The program's also striving to meet rising local demand for its services by enlisting the students themselves.
And so we created the Executive Directors Leadership Council.
Welcome.
Sarabi and 3 other students in the council helped design BLCI's first ever college awareness mentorship program this summer.
I go to Perkins.
It's for middle school students who didn't make it into BLCI because of its limited resources.
A lot of peers of mine from Perkins, they went different paths. We have completely different lives. A lot of them are struggling to finish school. We want them to see themselves in our shoes and see that it's possible.
The program consisted of a week of educational field trips. On day 1, the group made sandwiches together. Then they headed to the coast for a hike at Torrey Pines State Park, where they planned to get to know each other.
Because I think when I started in 5th grade at Perkins,
Sarabi mentored Evelyn Sanchez, who's entering 8th grade. Evelyn's parents also immigrated from Mexico. She says the hike made her more confident about college.
It really inspired me because Sarabi sounds like she's happy, like what she's doing. And when I grow up, I want to be like Sarabi, like happy what I'm doing.
The BLCI students plan to stay in touch with these middle schoolers until they graduate high school and continue inspiring them to go to college. Jean Guerrero, KPBS News.
KPBS video journalist Katie Shulov helped produce that story. People opposed to a plan to build a shopping center near a Carlsbad lagoon say the developer seriously underestimates the impact it would have on the environment. The Sierra Club joined environmental groups today at the Agua Hedionda lagoon. They say it is impossible to evaluate the visual impact of the proposed shopping center because there are no engineering drawings or renderings. They also claim the LA developer's environmental impact report underestimates the problem of toxic chemicals in the soil from years of growing strawberries. The developer Caruso Affiliated responded to the protest today. In a statement, they said the opponents continue to use scare tactics and the distortions of the facts to confuse Carlsbad residents about the plan because they know it has overwhelming support. Peggy Pico has more on the Carlsbad development.
The planned development by Caruso to build a 500,000 square foot shopping center near the Agua Hedionda Lagoon in Carlsbad is referred to as the 8515 project. It would relocate strawberry fields and keep open space. Here with more on the project are my guests, Bryce Ross, Vice President of Caruso, and Deanne Weimer with Citizens for North County. And Bryce, what is your response to residents' concerns that there aren't enough details or engineering renderings to know the real impact of this project?
Well, first I can tell you that the 8515 plan, and it's called 8515 because it literally sets aside 85% of the 200 acres on the South Shore for open space and 15% for an open-air promenade, has huge community support. We've been conducting community outreach for over 3 years and met with over 6,000 residents in the community. And that's why it's called the 8515 plan.
Sure. Do you think there's enough engineering renderings or to address people's concerns?
So the 8515 plan is a land use plan. So it does provide for all of the standards and requirements of what the ultimate plan can bring. Now, we have put a rendered site plan online for the community to review, and also in our community meetings that we've been conducting, we've shown pictures and imagery of what the ultimate buildings will look like to make sure that we're getting it right with the community so they can give us feedback.
One concern is flexibility. How much flexibility is there for the city to modify, and I'm talking about the city to modify this plan after it's approved?
Now, what the city has to do is they have to make sure that everything that we ultimately submit is consistent with the specific plan itself, as well as the general plan update, and all of the city's planning and development standards. So it does have to make sure that it's in keeping with all of their framework that's in place.
But after it's approved, then only the developer can change it if it needs to be changed.
No, actually, it goes on to the Coastal Commission. So the Coastal Commission then has the ability through the coastal development permit process. They have their own totally separate and apart environmental review, as well as the ability to review and make changes to the ultimate plan that we submit.
Okay, and Deanne, I know this week Carlsbad City Council accepted petition signatures to move this plan forward, but some people who signed the petition say they were misled, and they absolutely say they felt they were misled. Can you tell us why?
Yes, they felt they misled because they were told that by signing this petition that they would take the decision out of the hands of the council and they would put it in the hands of the voters and they would be allowed to vote up or down on this issue. And in fact, now we're seeing that they don't want to do that and they just want to have the council approve it. And that's why people feel that they were misled. They
Bryce,
want
do you
to
want to respond to that?
Well, we haven't taken a position on that. What our job was to do was to submit the plan, give the city all the information that they needed. We submitted a 4,300-page environmental analysis together with the plan. The city has conducted their own review, an independent and impartial review of that. They've given it a thumbs up. Now the city council has all the information that they need at their disposal to make an informed decision on behalf of the community, and the community should tell them what they want to see happen.
Okay, and Deanne, over the last few years, I know the developers have held, as Bryce said, many public forums. They've reduced the project size. It's gained a lot of support. So why do you think the support has been mounting over the years?
You know, there are conversations and then there are conversations. And what we have here is a case where we are having casual conversations with the community about, oh, do you like this storefront? Do you like this store? Do you like a French style? Do you like a more European style here? That's all about the aesthetics of the exterior. There hasn't been the discussion that needs to take place about the environmental impact that this project is going to have. We have a chemical that is one of the dirty dozen targeted by the EPA for removal that is on this property, and the 9212 report says there is no way in this plan to remove that chemical from this property, and that's a bad thing if you're going to have people walking through it every day.
Let me give Bryce a chance to respond to that.
Sure.
Has that been addressed?
I would say that that's a complete red herring. The 8515 plan, as I said, submitted a 4,300-page analysis, and the city has completed their own independent, impartial review of every single aspect of the plan, including ensuring that the plan provides for modern technology. Any water that flows from the property will flow through modern desiltation basins as well as water filtration to make sure that the water flowing into the lagoon is as clean as it can be.
Okay, we'll have to end on this. I'll start with you, Bryce. If the City Council places an initiative on the ballot, Caruso in the past has said they would pay for a special election on this. The website said that back in July. Would that still be true?
Our commitment to the City of Carlsbad and its residents have been from day one that the 8515 plan won't cost the residents a penny. penny. We've never been asked that question specifically, so we'll have to see what the council decides to do.
Okay, and last question to you, Deanne, are you opposed to any building on the lagoon site?
No, we're just opposed to, we want to do it the right way.
All right, Deanne Weimer and Bryce Ross, thank you so much.
Thank you, Peggy.
Thank you.
I'm Gwen Eiffel. On the next news hour, don't buy this jacket, making sense of one company's counterintuitive ad strategy. That's Thursday on the PBS NewsHour.
Tonight's Little League World Series game with the Sweetwater Valley All-Stars has been postponed till tomorrow because of rain. But the boys aren't letting a little weather dampen their spirits. They even did some batting practice in the rain today. Parents say their kids live and breathe baseball all year long. Their siblings say they are very proud of how far they made it.
We just wanted to say thank you, San Diego. Thank you for all the support, and we really appreciate it.
Even with this rain, they still have good hopes. Confident about winning. Hope they win.
That was Noah, Caden, and Wyatt. Tomorrow's game is set for 11 o'clock in the morning. San Diego staying on the mild side for the next few days. A mix of sun and clouds along the coast with temperatures mostly in the 70s. 80s expected in the inland valleys and plenty of sun. 80s for the mountain areas. Back to the triple-digit heat for the desert over the next few days. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. You have a great night.